Hey, Will here. Welcome back to another video. This is episode 4 of Vibe Coding, a first-person shooter, the series where we are trying to push coding agents like Claude to the max to see how far we can get them to create an FPS game. Let me show you what we have so far if this is the first time viewing this channel. And this is what we have. We have a 3D world, a rather boring one. It's got some supposed to be buildings. I say that every episode, as well as this sort of wooden sort of ground. And we have this gun. We have a weapons system. It doesn't fire yet, but it has a crosshairs. And this is my favorite feature. We can aim down the sides by pressing shift. Claude has done a pretty good job thus far. It runs 120 FPS. It runs in my browser. It's very nice. It's got a server allegedly. We haven't tried that bit out. But yeah, we've even got weapon sway, which I am increasingly impressed about. And yeah, that is the progress so far. And for those who don't know, if this is your first time viewing, I spend roughly 30 to 40 minutes per episode, vibe coding, try and tick off some to-dos and get towards the end of the game, which is going to be sort of a multiplayer setup. There's going to be AI as well, so if the server doesn't have many people on it, then you can just play the AI, and yeah, you can come in here and shoot people, I guess. So it's going to be quite fun, I hope. And let me talk about what we are going to be building today. I have come to the realization, so the original idea behind this game is called The Resistance, and the original idea behind this game was to create a World War II themed game, which, because I really like that kind of theme of game. I think the World War II history is fascinating. I thought there's not enough games like it, and I thought that would be a really fun one to go down and build here. As you can see, I've got the Lee Enfield rifle. Yeah, the Lee Enfield rifle. I was going to try and build sort of like London or something around here, some sort of alternative history setting. However, upon researching models and trying to get models, I've found it very hard to get World War II era models for free. And because we're not a very big YouTube channel, and I wish I had the budgets to pay for lots of models to make this game great, because we're a small YouTube channel, I just simply don't. So I sort of have to go down the path of least resistance, excuse the pun. So I'm pivoting. It's going to be a first-person shooter, but it's going to probably be a bit more modern day. I found a lot of sort of Middle Eastern sort of assets, sort of like desert towns and American guns, and although not as original, I think, as the original idea was, I think it will be fine and it will still be fun, and yeah, it will allow us to create a more complete game. So in between episodes, I've been searching for some assets to implement, so that is what I'd like to accomplish today, is put in a new gun, which is going to be the Scar assault rifle, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not a gun person. I've also got a lovely town set up, I hope, and I think I've got to try and get it in. Again, I'm not a game designer, never have been, so got to try and put it in. I got a town as well as some other military assets. So we're going to try and get all those in the game today within the 30 minutes that I have. Let me show you the models. So this is the first model. This is the FN Scar rifle that I was talking about. And yeah, this is a really great model. It looks amazing by this incredible, can't find it now, this incredible contributor. It's amazing having this kind of stuff available to use for free and download for free. Looks great. Can't wait to get it in the game. I've got it here as an FBX file, which we have a loader for, as well as all the textures. So that is model 1. Model 2 is this fantastic sort of procedurally generated town. It comes with a bunch of bits, and it looks like, by the description of it, you can come in here and create sort of this procedurally generated, it stitches together in cubes or whatever, in blocks, and we can create procedural maps sort of in the desert, which again, I think is equally cool. We can enrich it hopefully with trees. For those who don't know, I am not a game designer. I used to want to be one when I was a teenager, but I do a lot of programming in the day. I like to think of myself as somewhat of a technology entrepreneur. I run several businesses, and in those businesses I do a lot of work in tech, in coding, in problem solving, in leading teams. And yeah, I don't do vibe coding, but I do a lot of review of code, so I like to think I know my way around, but truly I am out of my depth when it comes to game design, so we're learning together here. But yeah, this town looks great. Very excited to get this in. And the last set of models is I can't show you, and I can't find the link from yesterday when I found them, but you can see by the file names, it's a bunch of sort of military assets, containers, tanks, radio stations, waters, and stuff hopefully we can enrich the map with. I want some more greenery as well, because the town looks quite empty in terms of, or quite yellow in terms of just like this desert theme, so I'd like some greenery. But for now, these military assets will also do. So I'm going to jump into VS Code like I have for the previous 3 episodes and put in that exciting initial first prompt and get underway with getting these weapons and other models in. So here we are in VS Code for the infamous first prompt. I'm going to put it in right now. And there is our first prompt. I'm building a 3D first-person shooter. I need to change out and get rid of the Lee Enfield rifle as we're not going to be using it anymore. And it's disappeared. Well, I started to read it. Let's go and let's put on auto accept, because that is what we're doing with vibe coding today. Normally I wouldn't have it on auto accept. Another thing we are also trying out today is Sonnet 4.5, which has just been released by Anthropic. And I've been using it in the day job, and I can tell you it's a very, very strong model for the work that I do, day to day. However, I'm going to be very interested to see how good it is at understanding this code base that we have, as well as implementing things in here, in a vibey based manner. It's copying in some files, so it's doing good so far by the sounds of things. Seems to be bringing in the textures at the moment. Cool stuff. I don't know why I'm having to accept this when I've got auto accept on, but there we go. This is also Claude Code 2, the new version of Claude Code. So again, very interested to see how this stacks up versus Claude Code 1 and Claude Sonnet 4, which I'd been using previously. Cool. It looks like it's creating the FN scar file. Cool. So we had been using CC usage to monitor Claude Code usage. However, that is unfortunately departed my system now, as good as it was, because Claude 2 has been shipped with a usage panel of its own, which is, I must say, very handy for the current session as well as the weekly session. And yeah, let's go check in with progress. Done! I've successfully replaced the Lee Enfield with the FN Scar, the moment of truth. Well, it's a very big gun. I aim. Yeah, okay, everything works. I think it's just massive. Yeah, I mean, look at the shadow. Look at the shadow on this thing. Okay. First thing, this model looks to be massive. Can we scale it down? Now the gun is too small and backwards. Okay. Okay. This is better. This is better. Aiming's a bit funky. Okay, we seem to have the gun positioning down. I mean, it doesn't have a texture by the looks of things. And the aim down sights is not working just yet. The position is wrong, but we seem to be holding it in the right position just when we're running around. So that's good. We can jump back into Claude Code and get it to correct this. Cool, and we appear to have the gun aiming properly now. Looks quite good. Aim down sights is working, running around is working. Just the textures left to sort. So let's jump back into Claude Code and get it to fix that as well. So I'm saying position is now perfect, but textures don't show. And hopefully we can get textures working properly. Want some browser console stuff, let's give it that. Yeah, the gun is still white. It looks like some textures are loading, just not properly. Right, we are back. It's actually a new day, which you can probably tell by a new outfit. But I spent an embarrassingly long amount of time trying to get this gun not to just appear white in the game. I mean, I had to download Blender. I opened the model in Blender. It was fully textured in there. So I had to go back to Claude and say, well, it's fully textured in Blender. Why is it not fully textured in the game? And because I don't really understand 3D models very well, other than I opened it in Blender to see what it looked like, I don't understand anything further than that. So Claude was getting stuck and troubled. And yeah, I just couldn't get it to work for probably over an hour. And then eventually, through some console.logging and some debugging, it finally did manage to work out why this model is not textured. And I think it was something to do with the fact that it's, the meshes were split into different parts in an array that it couldn't find, or something like that. Again, I'm not really pretending to understand. But we do now have a fully textured FN Scar in the game. Looks good. Aim down sights works. We have the gun finally the pain is over and we can press on. And this morning I've got another half an hour or so just to finish off getting in some new models. So I'm going to try and get the town model in so that we have a better environment to run around in. So let me show you again, just in case you've forgotten from the beginning of this episode what that looks like, and then we'll try and get it in. So this is the town model. It's pretty low poly, but I think it will do for now. It's also tileable, as I mentioned again at the beginning of this episode. So we should be able to create pretty big sort of town-based environments to run around in. And yeah, I'm going to try and get this in. I have several things. I have a 3DS file here. Again, I don't know how to put that in. And I have the other downloadable set of assets, which is got an AN8, which I must admit I've never heard of. So again, we'll try and get that in. I'm actually going to ask Claude to come in here and tell me what it thinks it should do with it. I'm going to try and get Claude to work this out. So I'm going to call this town. I'm going to drag in the files that we have, and then I'm going to right-click, option, copy the path name, and then come on over to Claude and get it to ask what to do, basically. But that's not before I quickly commit. I'm going to ask it to commit and push the code, because I didn't do that from last time. Because, in case you didn't know, I'm not even doing the commits to Git. I'm letting it do it. It can decide what to do. It usually co-authors itself, which is fun. As it has done today, no different. I'm going to say yes, I don't really care. And hopefully, yep, it's going to do push as well. There we go, and push. Cool, going to give it that prompt. Let's carry on implementing models. I want to switch up the environments. We are running around a town. I have this town model of a couple of different formats. There's the path. And I'd like to make it procedurally generated if possible, so that a random town spawns each time we load up the game. Actually, I'm going to correct that. Do not procedurally generate. Because I just realised that would be pretty hard if we've got multiple people joining the game. Cool. It's got that bit of instruction. And now it's going to hopefully explore and tell me what it needs to do, because I have no idea. Cool, I found the town model. You have a 3DS format with textures, an AN8 format with the same textures, and a skybox. It wants to use a 3DS file. I thought it would, just because that's the one I've heard of. I haven't heard of AN8. And it reckons it's supported in 3GS. So I'm just going to go ahead and go, yes, do all that. I don't really care much for the implementation plan more than it can implement it. So it says it can. So we're going to leave it up to it. Let's even copy the sky in. I wonder if it's going to switch out our skybox. Be a bit sad. I quite like my skybox. Yep, I think it is going to replace the skybox. Okay, I think it reckons it's done. Continue without that. Just wait for the official confirmation that it thinks it's done before we look at what it has done. Yep, some tokens are coming down. I presume this is it. Summarizing, it's a good job. Done, I've implemented the town model. Changes made, copied assets, town model. Added tier, TDS loader. Placed procedural buildings. Take the skybox. Okay, let's have a little look. Oh, well, okay. Let me refresh. Okay. Okay. Obviously a couple things to notice here. The town is sideways, like some Matrix stuff. The textures are a little bit funky. The skybox is horrible, so we'll get it to, before we do anything, get it to return the lighting and the skybox back to normal. Can we return? Because that is horrible. And then we'll address the fact that the town is sideways and poorly textured. But it's in here. I'm still running at 120 FPS. And it sort of resembles a town. Ah, good. My nice sunset lighting. My town. My better skybox. It's back. Cool. It makes it look infinitely better, despite it still being sideways and poorly textured. So, let's address that. Great. That's better. However, the town seems to be sideways. Okay, it's corrected itself. This looks good. This is not a bad start. I mean, I think it's all just one big sand texture. at the moment. There's no doors and stuff, which the images seem to suggest there are. I think actually, I've just come to discover we're really short in this world. So I'm going to correct that as well, and then we'll get the textures to be fixed. So it's doing that classic thing where it doesn't really have a reference to what I'm actually seeing. So it's just incrementing and decrementing by small values. I think this is now good. Yeah, that's better. I'd love to add sprint at some point. It's really slow to run around. We will fix that as well. And we also need to be able to jump. This is good, this is good. Now, I am going to get it to checkpoint this and commit the code before we try and fix these textures because, yeah, they're knackered. Let's see what it makes of all of that. I've given it 2 images, what it should look like, what it does look like, and an explanation to what it should look like. An explanation to what has gone wrong, sorry. So it should hopefully be able to fix this. I can see the issue. The reference image shows detailed door and window textures are not clearly defined, while your screenshot shows stretched, blurry textures without those details. The problem is that 3ds likely has multiple materials textures, assignments that we are overwriting with a single diffuse texture. Okay, it's making changes. Is it done? Looks like we're just running around an empty world now. Yep, okay, the town has disappeared. So we did actually have, obviously, a lot of issues, as I mentioned, with the gun model going in, and it was split into multiple parts, and Claude couldn't work that out for ages or know that, and obviously I didn't know to get it to check. But once it did finally resolve that, it fixed the textures, like, immediately. So what I've done is ask Claude the same thing, is, you know, well, obviously the town has disappeared, so let's revert that. But let's see if we can get some detailed logging into the game here. Okay, it's reverted itself. Let's get some detailed logging into the game here, just in case it's misreading some of these texture files, because I think it's just applying literally the same texture absolutely everywhere. This same, like, gravel texture. It's really stretched on the floor here. It's really tiny on the door, and yeah, stretched on the building too. And that's what I think is misreading. It's doing the same thing as it did with the gun. So let's confirm that. I've tried copying and pasting this log. It's just honestly just, there are so many logs associated with this town model that it is going to prove impossible to copy. So I need to give it another way. Guys, going to have to create a function to save the logs to a file so it can read them. Fine. That was my next bet, is trying to save it to a file, but I couldn't even get to copying the logs into a file without crashing the tab. Okay, well, it's going to do this. Cool. Cool, it did. Okay. There it is. There's the debug. Give it that in Claude. Should be good to go. Okay. Cool, perfect. The town should now display correctly with proper textures. The fix detects multiple material meshes, preserves each material's texture and color from the 3ds file, converts the mesh standard material for better lighting while keeping the original textures. Yes, and an excellent job it has done. It's now not as dark, but it's clear that the retexture did not work. Let me send a screenshot. Okay, we're making some progress. The floor now loads in, or the pathway, at the very least. So I thought about taking this next section out, but instead I decided to time-lapse it, because now what you're watching is a very long time of me trying to get the town textures to work. I think it's important to show these parts of vibe coding, because, you know, if you're someone that doesn't have any technical experience or coding knowledge, this is where it can really fall down. Genuinely, I only managed to get the town working because of my previous technical knowledge with what to look for and what to do with debugging. I didn't do any coding. That's the important distinction to note, though. Claude did all of the coding, but the way we got to the correct solution is because I asked the right questions and prompted Claude the right way. So that's a very interesting point to make there too. Had I not understood how I went about this process of fixing problems from previous knowledge, we could have been going around in circles forever, because I don't know why textures are broken. Claude didn't know why textures are broken. And it's only because I asked for the right debugging solutions did we get there in the end. But anyway, back to the video. Okay. So again, you're not going to have seen this, but it has been a long time trying to get this town to load in to the game. I had a lot of texture problems. the model file, as good as it is, didn't come with all the textures, and it took me a while, and Claude a while, to figure that out. As well as a lot of the nuances behind the lighting of this town, and stuff we're still going to be working on over time, I think. But we have it loaded in now. This looks good. We have the skybox, it casts shadows as it did before. We have reflective windows. There's more we could do there. They look kind of trash, but all in good time. All in good time. We got doors, we got roads. We even have barriers, which is super cool. Let me run up to the one really slowly. But yeah, look at this. I think this is going to form itself into what's going to be a really good map. We need collision detection. That's also something to do very soon. Collision detection, as well as a few other bits. But do you know what? I feel the environment is really starting to come together. I think that we have a game forming here. We have something. It's the beginnings of something anyway. I mean, I think this is going to be quite a laugh to play eventually. So yeah, let me go back to my full screen view and we'll sign off on this video. Next time, we'll do a bunch more. We will maybe get some collision detection going. Get some scaling of things right, because at the moment I think scales are a little bit off. Maybe get some firing in as well, so you can fire your gun, switch your gun out. Get a player character in. All these things, as well as I've got a bunch of other models to decorate some of these more open spaces with that I showed you at the beginning of the video, some military stuff. And yeah, I think it's really starting to take shape. Let me jump to my full screen view and we'll sign off. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoy videos about tech, AI, and everything like that, don't forget to subscribe, comment, like. It all helps on a small channel. And we're getting going, but thank you again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.